Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are watching a sentencing hearing for Kevin Ellis in the state of Utah. We just heard from the victim's mother. Matt Rastelli's mother told Kevin Ellis what she thought of what she called a horrible decision and mistake when he made the decision to back up his sister and his mother in this plot to kill Matt under a ruse that Matt would come to American Fork, Utah to collect his wife and child and move on with their lives after a couple marital issues. He showed up and they shot him. Kevin Ellis shot him and killed him as he was running away. Before the judge makes a decision on sentencing, both sides have an opportunity to argue. Let's go in and listen.
Consecutively or concurrently. The state argues for consecutive. More specifically, the state asks for the obstruction charge and the domestic violence in the presence charges to run consecutively to the homicide. Utah Code 76-3-401 subsection 2 governs. It reads, in determining whether state offenses are to run concurrently or consecutively, the court shall consider the gravity and circumstances of the offenses, the number of victims, and the history, character, and rehabilitative needs of the defendant. Consider, Your Honor, the number of victims. As we heard Mr. Ellis acknowledge in that phone call, quote, I warned her, I literally warned her. I said this will change so many lives. You don't even know how many lives this is going to change. Let's consider how many lives have changed. There is, of course, Matthew Rastelli, who is the direct victim of this homicide. Then there are Matthew's children, whose father was taken from them at a very young age. Mark has spoken today extensively about what this crime means to them. Then there's the rest of Matthew's family. They've been victimized surely by this crime. A mother grieves her son, a brother grieves his friend, and so on. And though it may have been lost in the trial, Your Honor, this murder has resulted in at least 2 members of the Grist family going to prison with another trial pending. Collectively, they will serve decades in prison. Without question, that family has been broken up. Without question, that family has been victimized too. Consider the gravity and circumstances of the offenses. The murder was premeditated and planned. Matthew was lured to Utah. This was not a crime of passion. It was not a decision made in the heat of a moment. It was a calculated choice. Mr. Ellis now recognizes this plan was a bad idea, but not only that, he recognized it then. Again, quoting his phone call, I literally warned her. I was like, this is going to have long, like I said. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I know I got it across. This is not the best idea you're having. Like, think about it for a second. But, and then, that's why I feel so much blame. Because I didn't step up at that point and be like, you know what? No. I need to step up and take my own advice. I went with. I trusted her. To be involved in the planning of a murder like this, recognize it for what it was, and decide to continue to participate, and then help to try cover it up, merits consecutive sentencing for the obstruction offense. To consciously kill one's own family member mere feet from that victim's own children deserves consecutive sentencing for the domestic violence in the presence of children offenses. Your Honor, the state's position is undoubtedly that Ms. Grist was the ringleader of this conspiracy. But there is nothing about the facts of this murder or the character or rehabilitative needs of Mr. Ellis that are currently before the court that indicate there shouldn't be consecutive sentencing for at least some of the offenses here today. As Mr. Ellis acknowledged, this was a decision, his decision, and no one can take that back. Last, Your Honor, we asked for restitution as outlined in the PSR of $9,700, and we asked the court to sign the continuous protective orders that had been filed.
Have you provided the, assuming the defense doesn't object, have you provided the names of who would receive restitution?
It is in the PSR. Do you need it on the record?
No, I don't think we do, and it's correct that the defense does not object to the amount that was just stated and is indicated in the pre-sentence report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Williams.
Judge, would you like us at the podium? What is your preference?
Why don't you come up to the podium for this?
Would you like Mr. Ellis as well, or
Yes.
just myself?
Well, is he going to, why don't you come first and address me, and then we'll have your client come up, and I'll ask him if he wishes to address me or not at the lectern.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you know, there's something that Your Honor knows, and the lawyers know it, that is difficult nonetheless in a circumstance where there's been a trial, and my need to advise Mr. Ellis related to if and what is advisable to say at this stage.
I understand that.
And, you know, I just say that in open court. We have just a remarkable Rastelli family. And I say that in open court because my addressing of the offenses and the fact that I have to advise Kevin not to make statements about the facts of the case because of legal processes that I won't be involved in. And I don't know what the judgment of other lawyers might be as to what the prudent thing to do in terms of a potential appeal. So I apologize for that feature of this system. I apologize to the Rastellis for that. And that is as it is. So really, I think, although it's remarkable, this phone call is remarkable because there's a statement there. And the whole world knows I didn't advise it to happen. But there's something there. He didn't listen to his own advice. And he's never, you know, there's never been an assertion that he didn't shoot Matt. And the issues were, didn't involve him contesting that. So it's an extraordinary case and a very, very, very sad circumstance for him that he'll go to prison for. As indicated, the initial statement by Mr. Pomeroy that I agreed with that erroneously of 20 years is because that's the matrix. So if you sentence him to 15 to life, it seems extraordinarily unlikely that he'll be considered for parole before 20 years. And I want to address that in terms of need for any potential consecutive sentencing. And as you know, and I expect, unfortunately, the Rastellis know now, because of this process, that that decision will ultimately, how long he stays in prison will ultimately be made by other than us, other than Your Honor, with potential for life. They'll know about all the features and factors of the case as they make that decision. Turning to the two bases that the state argues for consecutive, I want to just first note, Mr. Ellis did not oppose the obstruction at charge. We conceded that count. I think that matters. And argues against running it consecutive. It's completely intertwined with the events of that day. Certainly not like somebody took a gun and went and threw it in the river to try to destroy evidence or something. So, but again, it was conceded at trial. In the presence of a children is just awful. Thankfully, they weren't directly impacted that evening by being witnesses to anything. But it's them being victims for the rest of their lives is of course absolutely true. I respectfully submit that legal precedent does not allow for that sort of interpretation of number of victims. I don't have the case with me, but I submit that it has been dealt with before, and tertiary damage, and they're not completely tertiary. They're the victims of charged crimes, that's for sure. But again, all taken into account by the acts that the jury ultimately rendered a murder conviction on. So I think that those are legally unsound reasons, as palatable as they may seem for these poor people. There are legally unsound reasons to run consecutive. There's ample opportunity for the Board of Pardons to consider the gravity of the offense in fashioning a release date. I already spoke to restitution. I just want to ask the court to make a record of credit for time served. Again, that ultimate period of time will be determined by the Board of Pardons. If you'd like Mr. Ellis to come to the podium, it's understandable, as I have informed the state in your honor in chambers and sort of tried to speak to the reason. He won't be making a statement.
I just think we need to put it on the record, so.
No, I thought you might. So do you want me to just make the record now?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis, do you understand? Come on up.
All right, we're going to get a break here. Before we do, Kelly Hyman is with us. She is watching along. And this case, Kelly, I don't know, we're going to take a break here and then come back? Nope, I guess we're going to go to Kelly. All right, Kelly Hyman, attorney watching along with us. Consecutive or concurrent is a huge decision that this judge is going to make in terms of the future of Kevin Ellis and the light at the end of the tunnel, as his defense attorney laid out, who's the same defense attorney in the Megan Sunwall case, by the way, if you recognized him or his voice. This is big. What do you think the judge should do? What does the judge factor in when making such a large decision in terms of someone's freedom?
The judge is going to look first to the totality of the evidence in the case. And so what that means is the judge is going to look what evidence was presented during the trial itself. And then also the severity of the charges. I think that's really important. Here, in fact, he was charged with murder, and the jury came back and made a determination that he was guilty. The judge is also going to look to the impact statements. The mother told a compelling story. Here, these beautiful young children who are 3 and 5 years old for the rest of their life are not going to have their father, and the psychological effects that has on them. So looking at everything all together, I would see that the defendant most likely will spend the rest of his life in jail.
Yeah, even though the ringleader, I think everybody agreed, was the wife, Katie Grist, and her mother, who they're facing charges, but not as serious. Never works out that way. It's the trigger man. They convinced old Kev to do their dirty work, and he's going to pay for it. I think you're right. Likely will spend the rest of his life in a Utah prison. Let's get a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the judge. First, he's going to inquire with the defendant. Does he want to say anything? And then the judge will hand down his decision. Plus, coming up, we're about a half an hour away from Dr. Gerhard Koenig and the jury reporting for duty as the state's case against the doctor in Hawaii continues. Stay with us.